You're listening to Seraphina Speaks for Children Who Think, the show that delivers you my take on topics that are important. I'm your host, Seraphina Malina-Derben. Let's go right ahead to the show, shall we? Hello, Seraphina here. Today's show is about lies and lying. A few months ago, on an ordinary Tuesday morning, I was using my laptop for my home education. I wanted a snack. Instead of leaving my laptop where I was, I walked with my laptop open, but somehow managed to trip. The crash of the laptop hitting the terracotta floor was like a horror film. My soul sank at that moment. It was just like my world ended. I picked it up to check if it was working. It didn't matter what I did, I couldn't get it to start again. What happened next is a bit odd, and I'm not proud of it. I didn't say a word to anyone. My mum and brothers didn't notice me walk to the trash bin. I lifted the large black lid, threw the laptop in, then walked back into the house like nothing happened. Of course, Mama asked me why I was choosing to do so much art in the days that followed. Then when she asked me why I wasn't on my laptop, quite a new MacBook, by the way, I said I lost it somewhere. That lie started the biggest search I have ever seen. Mama was systematic. Nothing was left unturned. She wasn't cross, she was worried. My laptop cost a lot of money, and she found it weird that I could lose such a big thing. The search went on for days. During it, I had to keep up my lie. It was getting bigger and worse than if I just owned up to the original accident. The trash is collected early Wednesday, so I knew Mama couldn't find the laptop. It was gone forever. After the entire house was searched, she began to go quiet. A few days later, she said she wanted to talk with me. We sat quietly. I knew my lie was about to be rumbled. I was right. Devastating. I learned my lying skills were not particularly convincing. Mama was unimpressed with my attempts to hide this accident. She was upset that the laptop was already gone, especially as it was still in guarantee. Most of all, she disliked me lying to her. It's an embarrassing story, but not world-changing. I grew up a little having gone through this. I learned to not walk along watching something on my laptop, as I might trip and drop it. I learned it will be easier and less painful to tell the truth than to lie about it. I learned that our lies live on longer than the thing that happened. Lies damage trust, and it takes ages to build that back up. This story has become one of our family tales. It begins with, "Do you remember the day, Seraphina?" No, not the laptop story, please. Let's have some general facts and stats about lying, shall we? I'm not the only liar. Don't lie to yourself, you know you're a liar too. Here's why. Who lies and how often do we lie? The average person was believed to lie about 1 to 2 times a day, but recent studies show it's more likely to be 4 to 6 times a day. Boys and men lie about 6 times a day. Girls and women lie about 3 to 4 times a day. If the average person lies 4 times in one day, that's 1,460 lies each year. When do we start to lie? Kids start to lie as early as age 2, as part of our cognitive development. 92% of teenagers lie to their parents regularly. People also lie more as they get older. I wonder how often our parents lie to us. How about lies in conversations? This is an astonishing fact. 60% of people can't have a 10-minute conversation without lying at least once. Maybe lies in online communication is different. People are more likely to lie in emails or online than in face-to-face communication. 50% of social media users lie about their personal lives online. What about lies on job applications? Up to 85% of job applications contain some sort of exaggeration or lie. Job candidates often exaggerate their skills or experience during interviews. Is this a case of fake it till you make it? I'm on LinkedIn. Imagine how much lying there is on that platform. How about lies and stress? Lying can lead to increased stress levels, affecting both mental and physical health. I'll never forget those dreadful days when we all had to search and search again for my missing laptop. I felt sick, and the longer I lied, the worse it got. Here's the thing. Approximately 80% of lies are told in order to avoid punishment. Seems we're not especially honest in our lives. Before we dig deeper into lies and lying, here's info on a podcast I listen to and love. Maybe I'm lying that I listen to it, and maybe I don't even like it. Why would I say this? Because in one study, more than 15,000 people watched video clips of people either lying or telling the truth. Only 55% identified honest individuals. See if you can tell whether I'm lying or telling the truth in this podcast review. Dream Big is a long-standing family-friendly show, hosted by sisters Sophia and Eva and their mum Olga. It's high energy and a rare personal development podcast for kids. It's all about having vision, dreaming big, the importance of gratitude, and having a positive mindset. The question I asked was this. What's your number one big dream, Sophia? Maybe the one you'd love to accomplish by the time you're 21. Here's what she said.
Hi, Seraphina and all the children who think. Thank you so much for inviting me onto your podcast. This is Sophia Cartman from the Dream Big podcast, and I'm so excited to answer your questions today. My number one big dream? People ask me that a lot, and I'm still not always sure. But I love singing, and I love to be a speaker. I love sharing my joy and happiness with the world. And also, singing is a way for me to get out my emotions, and it's good for you. Do you guys like music? What kind of music? Make sure to find me on YouTube at Dream Big Podcast and let me know. And when I make a lot of money doing what I love, I'll donate it to a charity and help other people who don't have homes and money. As a matter of fact, we actually created a character named Roxy, and she loves giving back. You can hear her stories on our podcast, especially episode 381. It's about giving back in the Kindness Countdown Challenge. I hope you like it. That's all for today. Thank you so much, Seraphina. Just wanted to remind you that you have unlimited potential. Your dreams are not optional. You need to make them essential. To take massive action, turn those big dreams into reality. Live with passion the way life was meant to be. Bye!
Welcome to the Dream Big Podcast Show. We're inspiring you to shoot for the moon, take aim and go. We bring to you amazing guests who truly love what they do. Every day they're living their dreams, and so can you. Dream big, take action to reach your goals. Are you pumped yet? It's showtime, let's rock and roll.
Thank you so much, Sophia, for being on Seraphina Speaks today. I'm sure you'll always use your voice in the world, whether that's speaking or singing. Good luck too in your giving back projects. Listeners, Dream Big is a reminder for us. Dream big and have goals and do good. Back to Liza and our lying focus. Was I lying or telling the truth? Could you tell? How about my trusty sidekick brothers? What did they think?
I think you were telling the truth. I can't tell. You're getting better at lying after that MacBook incident.
Stop it, Montgomery, I mean it. I don't want to talk about that again. Lying is often seen as a negative thing, whereas it's pretty complex and misunderstood. Lying isn't always black and white, as in good or bad. Lying isn't always a sign of lack of morals. Lying is a social glue, a coping mechanism, and sometimes even an act of kindness. We're humans, social beings trying to navigate relationships. Sometimes we lie because the reality is not as we want it. This can all get tricky. Honesty isn't always the most obvious choice. In fact, we often lie in order to protect ourselves or shield others from hurt. Take when we go to get our hair cut and the hairdresser says,
"Do you like your hairdo?"
Lots of us will look into the mirror and think, "It's dreadful, what have you done to me?" But what we say is, "It's great, thank you." It's like telling someone who just cooked you a meal that you don't like their food. It's not really the best approach, even when the food is horrible. Not everyone follows these unspoken social rules of lying in different situations. For instance, autistic people might say things that others find rude or hurtful because they don't realise that being completely truthful isn't always polite. But how confusing! We're taught to be honest, but then also taught to lie about certain things and in certain situations. I asked May, a Seraphina Speaks state-based correspondent, when do you lie to make other people feel okay?
I'm May. I am in the United States in Vermont and I am 14 years old. I have a brain-based blindness and hearing loss, which means I can get easily overwhelmed and exhausted in busy and noisy environments. A time that I lie to make others feel better is when people ask me the question, "How are you doing?" or "How have you been?" I am often actually exhausted and overwhelmed from just being in the world, doing world stuff. But if I tell them that, then they start to feel bad and ask how they can help or why I don't feel good when there really isn't anything that they can do. And explaining what particular series of events caused me to feel bad is just more exhausting. So instead, I say, "I'm fine," or "I've been doing good. Thank you for having me. Goodbye."
Thank you, May. Perhaps the most common lie in the world is when people ask, "How are you?" And we say, "I'm fine." You're right, May, as if that's the real answer. It doesn't cover how we're really feeling. Even more so for people managing exhaustion, disabilities, and health concerns. Lying plays a key role in our survival as a species. Our ability to bend the truth can be an act of empathy and compassion. We preserve people's feelings with little white lies because we value our connection. I guess this could be seen as deception, but what's most important? To be purist about the truth, or to maintain a relationship or a situation we value? Glennon Doyle, Abby Warmbach, and Amanda Doyle of the We Can Do Hard Things podcast talk about little white lies. They also refer to a Martin Luther King speech.
We should stop calling little white lies because I feel like that's just racist. It is.
Well,
everything we call white is like, oh, it's no problem. It's pure. It's whatever. There should be another word for these.
It reminds me of the MLK speech where he was talking about how there are 135 synonyms for whiteness that are all positive, like pure, innocent, and 120 synonyms for blackness, and half of them are offensive.
Isn't this a great point? How about kind lies? Soft lies? What can we call these without referring to them as white lies? If you have any suggestions, I'd like to hear them. Then there's times where people want to bamboozle or hoodwink us. These are different words for lying or deception. These lies are deliberate choices to mislead others. These can definitely be manipulative tools, but also have the potential for creativity and imagination. Untruths allow us to craft stories and imagine futures. Are great storytellers really just great liars? Would a world without lies be far more efficient? If no one had any feelings, then maybe, but we do, don't we? The tension between truth and deception is a delicate one. Joseph Bonkovsky said, "A survey was done on people who lie, but the results were unreliable." I love that joke. Turns out we're all liars because we're human. Listeners, look out for the micro behind the scenes episode on this week's topic. In this short bulletin, I talk about the biggest lie ever. Can you guess what that lie is? You can get more involved in this podcast by joining my correspondent team. All you have to do is post a review for the show on your fave podcast app. Then take a screenshot and send it to me at Seraphina@seraphinaspeaks.com. Then I'll be in touch with you about being on the show. By the way, if you're looking for an idea of what to say in your review, if you're like me, you go blank, even though you want to do this. Here's a question for you. Let me know what country you're listening from and what you'd like me to talk about in a future episode. Next week's episode is called On Pockets. These small yet significant items are nothing short of revolutionary. I hope you'll join me to find out how. Thanks for listening, everyone. Remember to tell your friends, family and teachers to listen into if you think they'll enjoy the show. Take care, everyone. Lots of love. Wow, I hope you enjoyed the show, everybody. If you like what you hear, click the subscribe button. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. Don't forget to leave me a review at iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts, because then more people can find my podcast.